Hello, my name is Mark Marsh. I'm here today at CATV Studio. I'm guest hosting a show called Walking Through Life. And my guest today is Phil Charp. And just a little lead-in would be that Phil's been here before, and I'm aware that he's a musician, but he's here today to talk a little more seriously about issues with depression and those types of issues that he feels is very important to him to explain to people the issues that he deals with to make a life that works for him. And I'm very happy to meet Phil, and I'd like to
meet you, Mark.
I'd like to just let Phil go a little bit. So just please introduce yourself. And
okay, my name is Phil Charpentier, Phil Charp, C-H-A-R-P for short. I'm a jazz musician at heart. I've got 2 CDs out, and I also have several mental illnesses that I cope with. The first one I'd like to talk about is schizoaffective disorder, bipolar type, which is what the hospital over here diagnosed me as. That's HCRS, I guess they refer to me as, manic depressive bipolar, so I'm not exactly sure it's schizoaffective disorder or bipolar. But I just want to talk about how it comes on me and what the stages are, so people can have a better understanding of it from a person who's having the experience. And the first stage is it's brought on by stress factors in my life, and that's the first stage of it. And then if it continues to go on, it's stressful for days, and I start to get a little agitated, and then I start having the other disorder that I have, which is obsessive compulsive disorder, which is checking things over and over again. And that's basically, to me, it's worry. I'm worried that I didn't check something out. I'm worried that I'm going to lose something or I misplaced something. So I'll go back and I'll look inside my truck like 20 times just to make sure the lights are out, or I'll check the mailbox. And it's just the worry kind of feeling. I worry that I didn't do it, and that's why I do that, and that's what I understand the OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. And then, if the stress continues, it goes to, I start losing sleep. My sleep starts breaking up, and I get fewer hours of sleep. And I use that as a real barometer to how I am psychologically, the amount of sleep and the amount of, whether it's a sleep is broken or whether it's held together in one block. And I use that to gauge how healthy I'm feeling. So once that starts happening, I start losing sleep, and that's because of the manic. And what that feels like is, if I could describe, there's like a hand of nerves that go up through the back of my brain and kind of start tingling my whole head, and makes it very hard to sleep. And I need meds, obviously, to stop that, because sleeping pills don't work. They absolutely, once I get that buzz going, they don't work. And then if that keeps going, my sleep will continue to decrease to like 2 hours of sleep a night, and I'll start becoming very belligerent to the ones I love, even though I know I don't want to be. I'll be, and then there's a next stage, which is confusion. My thoughts start to get confused and cluttered, and I start wondering who I am, what I'm doing here, and I get really confused. And then after that goes on, the sleeplessness, the OCD, the confusion. Then I get what I would call euphoria. It's a just a complete high. And I think I'm thinking so clearly. Everything is coming crystal clear, and it isn't. It's when I had confusing thoughts first, and now I get this clear. My head feels completely clear, and I think I'm on top of the world, and I can do all these things, and I really start becoming delusional. I have delusions I've had. And one of the delusions is I've said to people, I was the Messiah, I was Jesus Christ, I was the second coming, so I was completely out of touch with reality. But even during that time, I knew that people wouldn't believe me, and there was a little voice, tiny voice at this point inside of me that said, Phil, you're really ill. You really need to, get help. And that's why my dad told me, he said, don't just think whatever you want, just don't tell people you're God or Jesus Christ, and you'll be fine. But really that was, for me, that was a cry for help. When I was saying that to doctors, I was crying out for help, that something was wrong. And then the final stage, and the most acute stage of this disease, is where my entire body feels like a circuit. It just feels like a surge of energy, electricity going through my body, and it shoots. My hair stands on end. It's terrifying. It's terrifying to watch. It's terrifying to see, and those are basically the stages as I see them. And I can go back a little bit. When it first started, I'd say when I was 16, I was hanging around with a bunch of kids unintentionally that were smoking marijuana, and I wasn't, and they were all getting high, and I said, hey, I'm high, I'm high, and I don't even need to, do any smoking, and that was when I was about 16. I didn't break then, it wasn't serious, but it was my first, incident. And then when I was 20, in my early 20s, I had my first breakdown where I thought I was Jesus Christ, and I went to spend some time at the hospital up in St. Lawrence, and they, got me on lithium, and that didn't work for me. I was allergic. I had got, that didn't work, and so I think I want to talk about also how important it is to have a family that'll get in there and help you out and get you help, and because I had a dad, and he always was there for me, and Mom, they always cared about me and made sure, led me in a direction, helping me out. So
it's amazing. It's a very good explanation. I'm amazed that, I'm impressed actually that the way you try to explain the different stages of what's happening with you. And I feel a little guilty because I started off mentioning depression, and I have some awareness of these types of things, mental illnesses myself, and here I am with more awareness maybe than average, kind of putting you into a little bit of a pigeonhole there by just mentioning that your ability to explain mentioning as a depression kind of like period. It's way more than that, and you have a great ability to explain it at a much higher, more intricate level. It's obvious to me you've spent a lot of time thinking about this and working through this because it's important, or maybe not because it's important, but it is now important to you that you have the opportunity to explain this situation that you've lived with for quite some time now.
And a lot of people don't believe this, but I believe, the chemistry in your body, the electrons or whatever's going on, are broken down, and people who have bipolar, people who have schizophrenia, people who have schizoaffective disorder, and it's the medication, and for me it's a cocktail of meds that allow me to function in a normal way, to have healthy feelings. Because the feeling of euphoria that I talked about, a lot of people would say they feel good, but so does a heroin addict, they feel, if your thoughts are all distorted, if you're not thinking clearly, it's not a comfortable way to be. It's not healthy. It's not real happiness,
Right.
Real happiness is the love of a family and people and laughing and having good times. And I learned that growing up at camp. I learned what real happiness was. It's not this disease. It's, So when somebody comes to me and says, well, I'm more creative when I'm manic, which
Yeah.
my mother actually had manic depression, the more typical type. She had the real highs and she had the real lows, but she wrote it. Meaning she never took meds. She just, would stay up nights, and she was very creative with the kids' program. But, that wasn't the way I wanted to live my life, And I don't think the people, that are mentally ill and on the street that think they want to stay there really do. I don't believe that,